like it should. So when we think about the schwa, there are some considerations. We want to think about words that begin and end with a, like round or panda, because those are generally going to have a schwa sound. This is not always true. If there are like an act or an activity, you hear the sound, not the We don't say activity. So there is some exceptions here, as there usually are. But in general, words that begin or end with an A, we're going to want to consider that schwa sound. Middle of words, especially if it's like a three-syllable word, dinosaur, right? Our unstressed syllable is going to be that middle one. And so if we're trying to read this word and we hear din o soar, osor, that's not going to be how we want to split that, right? It's it's that open syllable, no soar, dinosaur. And we can go from dinosaur to dinosaur as we think about that unaccented syllable. And then there are lots of suffixes that one make the schwa sound themselves, or when added, then make the base word into a schwa sound, which we're going to get into. So here we have AIN, ON, and AN. These are just endings. Certain, person, human. And then we have derivational suffixes, which is where we really want to place our emphasis, as that's what we're teaching our students. So we've heard the word comprehension a lot. And here there's multiple schwa sounds. Comprehension. You hear comprehension, right? Because there are lots of syllables. There are going to be multiple syllables that are not emphasized when we're speaking. Defendant. It's defend, but defendant. Complexity. Complex. Complexity. So there's two things we really want to consider. One, how we're pronouncing the suffix, and two, how that suffix may influence our base word. So here are just some examples based on suffixes we're going to be teaching. Meant. We don't ever really say meant. We usually say mint, achievement. So we want our students to know that even though it sounds like mint, it is spelled with an E. Happiness. That, again, the ness is more of an I sound than it is an eh sound. Acceptance. And then we get into some suffixes that both have the sound in the suffix, shun, but then also have an influence on their base word. Define, definition. Decide, decision, right? So we're thinking about where the stress is on the syllables when we say it. And you can see here there's some other ones. Activity. Magical goes from magic to magical. Beautiful. Beauty. Beautiful. Joyous. OU usually is going to make the ow sound. That's what students have been taught when they're reading. But this is not joy ouse, joy us. So we want to make sure that we're emphasizing the schwa there as well. And happily. Happy, happily. So we're seeing that vowel shift again as we shift our accents in our syllables. So we just want to be mindful of this. We want to know that there are a number of suffixes that have the schwa sound. So when our students go to pronounce them, to say them, and to spell them, they're going to have that knowledge of those suffixes that they're going to see often. I always use the example of shun because we see it all the time, and it sounds like it should be shun, but if it's into a noun, it's a tion, right? So it's a high frequency suffix that our students need to know both how to say when they see it and how to spell it when they need to spell it. We need that reciprocity there. And also, they need to have flexible vowel sounds when they're breaking apart words, right? So this is why this matters. It matters both when we're pronouncing words, when we're decoding them and reading them, and then again when we go to spell them. And a great example of this is the word define. Define itself, if our students know where to break it, has an open syllable, and then it has another, the long E, the E makes the I say I, define. That's pretty simplistic. But when we add on that shun, definition, they have to have that more complex knowledge of schwas and both how to read it to recognize the shun and know that that may influence the word to have that lazy or I sound. And when they go to spell it, understand that that base word is still there. It is still defined. We're just adding on that suffix, which changes then what the meaning is, right? We're changing it into a noun. So we need to have this knowledge as teachers so that we're able to answer these questions by our students and also understand why that shift is happening. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. And if you do want to know more about stress, please make sure to watch the other video that we have on stress.